Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, January 9, 2022, Sunday. मैं सूरज सिंह सिविल इंजीनियर भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ। आज जनवरी 10 दो जनवरी 9 2022 रविवार। स्लोने का दिन, रेस्ट का दिन। Well, no problem. I'm not sleeping early morning. It's now 3:54 morning time. 3:54 सुबह के रविवार भारत इंडिया। Topic is quality, safety, concrete. As usual. Title is same. I start always now with quality because quality is for me at least and must be for you all. Very significant term quality because quality overweighs quantity in real terms. If we are honest to ourselves, we have to accept this fact. And if we are only interested in business and in making money, though it has no relation with money, but we think that if quality is lost, money is gained, then that's wrong. Quality has no relation with money. Quality is quality. It's only self deceiving that if you don't accept that. So I say quality, concrete specifications, engineering and civil field and life and engineers and contracts and quality and whatever else. Routine title there is, and you can see it's a long continuation of talks, and we can say I'm not sure even how I could reach this stage that hundreds of episodes have been delivered. Maybe if these all felt you boring, but good thing is always boring and imagination is always entertaining. If you if you want to see something, you can say here in competency certificate, that is international professional engineer. You know explanation already I've given many times. I say it's competency certificate, and this is given as the provisions of international professional engineers agreement, which was previously known as Engineers Mobility Forum, and it is that law of world under which Institution of Engineers India has been given representations for India, Bharat, to to work on certifications respecting international professional engineers. India means Institute of Engineers India is registrar for India to maintain and to do work on enlisting international professional engineers in India on behalf of IPEA, which is explained as International Professional Engineers Agreement, and same way it is, you can say, Chartered Engineers Certificate, which is in Engineers of Institution of Engineers, official body of professional engineers or qualified engineers, which was granted Royal Charter in 1935 by King George V, or you can say law of that country or our country, which was at that time ruled by British. Under this charter, which is still in force under constitutional Article 372, which allows continuation of existing laws. You may say that this is existing law, that is charter, Royal Charter of Institution of Engineers India, Bharat 1935, and under which charter provisions are that every corporate member on roll on that day and until that corporate member remains on roll of institution has got privilege and right to be designated Chartered Engineer India, and that's what it is. And of course, then we can say this is one of three membership cadres. Fellow is number one, member is number two, and associate member is number three. Associate member, member, and fellow. So I now belong to category of fellow, grade of fellow. And then there is quality that we have to talk of, and of course we have to talk of concrete, which is for me very significant material, which has got no limit, and we shall talk about this details about terminal I think it's page 20 or something. So we will talk of this after talking of quality. So currently I come back to my files. You can see this page which gives me gives me to opportunity to introduce myself as chartered engineer, as professional engineer, and also I provide details of my email ID, and that is suraj_engineer at yahoo.co.uk. I repeat, SURAJ, Suraj underscore, where is underscore, and ENGINEER engineer and yahoo.co. You know that, it's no problem. And of course, here is certification. This is valid up to September 30th, 2025. And of course, this is chartered engineer. So I close these certificates now, FI and this, and let's talk on quality. My interest is on quality because for me, quality is very significant part of life, and I'm here interested to deliberate on status of quality in Bharat, India. Bharat, India means my birth country. This is my country where I originally belonged to. Bharat is its constitutional name, as well as India is also its constitutional name. India we generally call in English, and Bharat we call in Hindi, though both are same. And you can say in our constitution it is given name of this country is India, that is Bharat. It's written in Constitution Article 1. If you wish, you can open and see that, you can refer it. India, that is Bharat, or Bharat, that is India, you can say whatever way. It is called Republic of India and Bharat Ganrajya, Ganatantra Bharat. My question is, well, name is one part, constitution, another part lies third part. We have a quality in constitution. We can say our constitution is unique. It's a mix-up of an abstract of many constitutions around the world. It's not one, it's not two. I think there is no country or continent left, while our father of constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, a brilliant one, highest non-engineering qualified in law and in humanity, that scholar, that unique leader worked on this constitution, and you can say worked on birth of this constitution. We call in Hindi Savidhan, and he produced this document after having so much knowledge, spectrum of knowledge, and worldwide exposition, mastery in law, doctrine in law, whatever you can say, and law only one field, and many other fields I think he had knowledge about. Being a president of Constitutional Drafting Committee, he did wonderful job, and I think maybe sometimes God gives someone, and you can say that it was direct gift of God, gift by God to that person, that personality of our Constitution's authority, Constitution's designer, and that person authored Constitution, of course with personal contribution, but committee's power. So we can say in our Constitution there is complete freedom for all these principles, and that's the reason that I'm talking of quality. Quality exists in Constitution text. That's what I can say. If it exists nowhere, where does quality exist? I can answer in different way. That our Constitution is a quality document. Of course, it has gone many amendments from time to time. But even if something is excellent one time, it doesn't matter. This excellence goes on forever. Depending on changes, depending on required changes, forced changes, this is affected everywhere. Based on time, based on requirements, based on social changes, based on current requirements, just like what's happening now. Things are changing, existence is changing everywhere about our lives. So I am now inclined to quality of life. Quality of life is dependent on quality of standards, and quality of standards are dependent on quality of materials, quality of equipment, quality of humanity, and quality of individuals. What sort of educations we draw, we learn, we have, it impacts on our life. When we go to school, we do not know anything, but we learn a lot in school. Same way, we learn a lot in higher schools like universities and colleges, and of course, further higher institutions which grant professional education like medical science and engineering, and also other education degrees. You may say at certain level we call expertise or profession, but at a school level we don't name it quality system of expertise. That we don't name at that point, but it is factually learning stage. So when I say quality is a question here, does it exist or does it exist? My question remains, where does quality exist? And nobody answers. That's unfortunate. I have talked many times on videos. I give links of these videos on sites which are run by engineers, and thousands of engineers are available on those sites. Also, I post it on Facebook, and there are thousands of people who refer to Facebook, who refer to LinkedIn, and of course Twitter. But I didn't find any feedback till now. Whether, what is the reason I don't know, or should be reason, no. Maybe people are not able to understand what I talk about. That could be my failure, I can accept that. But how long failure works? Every day when I talk something, either people consider it as a fun, or it's just, maybe some people say this person is quality phobic. That's good one. You can say, I appreciate that if you say I'm quality phobic. What's wrong with that? If I'm I'm your friend, I want to improve your life. Is it wrong? If I request or appeal or force or stress, think of quality, is it wrong? What's wrong with that? It's our duty to think of quality. It's our right. It's our right to think of quality, and if you think only, then if suppose I think something 10 times, probably I'll do one time. And if I don't think at all, then I won't even dream of that. Is it wrong? I'm not denying this fact that quality is not available, it's not present, it's gone somewhere in darkness. It was available, we lost it. Maybe it was not available 100%, but we lost it. Now it's our duty to bring it back from that darkness to light of knowledge and light of performance of work. And we say, what is required in work? In work, whatever work we do, except thinking, required is some material, some sources or some devices which we call machines or equipment, and we require workers or personnel or human resources, and we require technology or technique, and a mixture of these, and personally we require individual attention, or you can say power of soul. I always say power of soul. It doesn't mean it is something religious. It is our internal force, everybody's internal force, which must be energized because that is unit of work. If I don't have energy within myself, I cannot even talk to you. And if I increase potential of my energy, I further get energy, I further get intention, desire to talk to you, and you desire to listen if you have same. This is very important point here, that we should be strong in individuality, because soul or power of soul or spirit are very, you can say, essential elements which are not felt or which are not visible, but which are present in our lives. I am talking to you, I am living, I'm called living being because I have got soul in my body. And that soul is very important for everybody, not only human being, but also for all other creatures. So if my soul or my strength of soul, that is spirit, is active, then I should be happy and I remain happy. Same way, soul of material, and that is called quality. Soul of product, that is called quality, should be active, and that can be active only when it is given some input, or injection is or can say injection is vaccinated, or can say inoculation is done for soul. Inoculation of quality is done. Get my point? Inoculation is very common word these days. Vaccines are very common word these days because of COVID-19. So let us say quality is same. We have to generate quality. We have to incite quality. We have to inject quality into our works. Because we have forgotten quality, we have forgotten everything. Today, a world sphere is like that. Quality is missing somewhere. It's fact. I am talking of India, Bharat, but this is also meant for all other countries. Quality of thinking, quality of working, quality of doing, quality of conduct, quality of everything has gone somewhere missing. And even I have seen those who are responsible for that, majority of them, do not bother to requirement or to level of acceptance. It's not something I'm alleging upon someone, but this is what I've been observing. We used to call other countries like USA, England, China, Japan, and others are like that. They are very good people in quality. But it's revealed now that this is not correct. It's not correct what has been noticed, what has been observed. Human conduct is same. It should not be. Human behavior is same, human thinking is same. Only difference in running, only difference in comparison, nothing else. Means what I think our country is and what you think your country is. I don't think both are same except with little difference. Engineering is same all over world, medical technology is same all over world, and you can say human thinking is also same all world, food is same all over world, clothing is same all world. So I think it's a kind of uniformity and not heterogeneity which you have today. Means you see style of wearing clothes, style of talking, style of telecommunication, style of thinking, style of political behavior, and you see style of working, and everything almost same. Means and in fact you see this COVID-19 has forced all to be one, to be united, and that's one way good also. We cannot differentiate now between west or east or between south or north. Of course, there is some requirement to change, but when what happens when one human starts thinking I am superior to other human, problems come. Saying nobody is superior. Color doesn't make you superior or inferior. It's your potential, your mind, your performance that makes changes, and it depends on individual. In whatever part of world individual stays in, it makes a difference to performance only to some extent, not to full extent. Maybe someone is from economical background bad economical background, you can say some is where education levels are not available. You cannot blame that person, that person have not come up to that level because of background. It means you cannot compare facilities which are available in African countries or in some Asian countries and whatever available in European countries or in American country like that. Those are same. There's a lot of difference. It's same thing as difference between rich and poor. Difference, gap, you can say, gulf between two exists, and that has not been bridged till now. So it impacts on quality also, because ultimately your knowledge is also a part of quality. From where did you qualify, and valuation can be different, but mind is same. If I am given opportunity, I can develop. If someone is given opportunity, someone can develop. So you can say basics of quality lies in root level of human being, but you can say even if there is a difference, it can be patched up if willpower exists. I again say willpower, power of your soul, power of your determination, power of your commitment. Maybe you are not back strong, you are not having your spine very strong, but you can say, you can think, I would reach this destination, and that is known as part of struggle. One person is having very good economical background, that person does not have struggling power. But other person is not having good background, but that person has some determination, some destination to achieve. That person struggles a lot and gets that destination. The level of achieving that destination between two persons that has struggled and that person has economical background is always different. You will find anguish in that person who struggled, but you won't find that anguish in other person. Because other person got everything easily, and for that person this achievement doesn't value much, while for a struggler it matters a lot. And that's where it impacts on determination of a person who has background, bad background, is always higher than other person. This is natural. I'm not trying to explain humanity, but inhumanity is related to quality. That's the only reason I'm giving it this. I'm also one of them who struggled a lot in life. For me, even schooling was not an easy task, but I know how I did. Maybe you can't even imagine that. But I did that. But there are my colleagues who had different background. They were rich and they had no problem in education. Their parents supported them well. So maybe they are better than me, I don't know, but I don't think so. It is, continuation of your force from inside that you have. And life is that. Education gives you a gate, it gives you an entry, it gives you a door only, and I can say a window. But it does not work on itself. It is you are instrument, you are machine, you are that person, your machine has to run on some track, and that is your own track. That's where I say I consider individual more important than all other resources. Where the question is material. Question is about material, permanent materials, temporary materials, required materials, structures, and we can say all materials we buy in life. Maybe not in a day, but in our life we depend on materials, devices, we depend on technology, we depend on technological applications like cars, scooters, bike, train, flight, our machines in home, oven, harrow, fridges, television. Likewise, you can say mobile. So we have all this dependence in our life. Imagine if you don't have any of these today. Just imagine if you don't have either, what shall be our life? It shall be same as it was 70, 80 years before. You don't have a ballpoint pen. You didn't have the calculator. You didn't have a log table. Maybe you had some log table. People used to calculate based on slide rules. That life, where people did not used to lie in common, they used to lie often. Today's habit of lying, you can say 99 or 100 persons lie because of what? Because of device. You have mobile device. You can say anything, I'm located here, I'm not located there. Nobody can check you. Right? But when you used landline, exclusively landline, you had to sit there, you had to be available near landline if you wanted to attend call. And if you were not there, call would not be able to attend. So that's what I say, devices also create problem. Today we have internet, we have many other facilities. We can do our way. We can do our profession in that way. Today we have every facility. We do not know how to write. We do not know how to think. Because sometimes we think, let computer think. No, computer cannot think, but computer can think to an extent. Programming has been done. Therefore, my dear friends, original and non-original are different. We have to be very serious about this. That's why I say I raise many questions about quality. Questions are same, who is responsible for what? Who is responsible for what? This has to be defined. We define job description in jobs. This is your job. Previously, it was not used to be defined. It was understood that if my position is this, my responsibility are these. But now it's agreed. This is my job description. You have to do these jobs, and I think that is my right only. But that is only indicative. We have to be realistic. Means I have to decide my job description myself in addition to what has been demanded. It's up to me. I should go on vertical mobility or I should stay on flat mobility or horizontal mobility. It's up to me. But quality requires expertise in all specifications what are related to it. And when I say specifications, means particular requirement. It's not general requirement. Every material, every product, every requirement, every action, every activity, every operation, all have certain criteria to be satisfied with. And that criteria forces us what we have to do. Quality is a requirement. Indeed, actually we should not even think of quality, because if it's quality nature, if it's quality character, if it's quality criteria, is automatically understood. But I don't know how it has happened that quality has been separated from quantity. Why it has come in? Maybe it is because of analytical requirement or because people don't understand it. Something is naturally built that is already having quality. We can't deny this fact. We can't say this stone has this composition, because we learn that. Quality is also a part of natural contribution, natural component, natural composition. Quality cannot be separated from material physics. That is a fixed point. We cannot change it. If we try to rechange it or recompose it, it shall be different material of different class, and it shall not be natural one. It shall be called processed one. It may be direct processed original one, or it can be byproduct. So it's a question mark, means what do we want actually? Am I talking of quality? Am I clear about this? That's first requirement to me, first question to me. I have to raise question to myself. I'm talking of quality. What does it mean? It means something different. It means I define something or you define something and we get that. That's what compliance is. Means we have to define ourselves, what we have to do. Just like we cook, we have to decide what we have to do, what composition we have to do, what items we require, vegetables, and what items we require in oil, or what items we require in spices, and what temperature should be. All we decide. We can't cook tea, we can't boil tea, or boil tea to some level which spoils it, or we can't boil it to lowest level, or where it remains still raw. Same way, when you cook your chapati or bread, you have to keep in mind that it should be tasteful, it should be delicious as well as digestible. Same happens to works. When we talk of engineering works, engineering means our life. In current scenario, without engineering, life cannot exist. That's also true. It's major dominance of engineering in our lives all over the world. There was a time when electricity was not available, and that was different life. Now it's life of technology, and maybe after a few decades this will be different type of world. Super technology and super technology and super technology, and humans shall be crushed under technology. We shall be crushed under technology. We have to realize this point now. Do we want to be crushed? Do we want to be slaves to technology, or we want to have technology our slaves? One question to be answered. Are we going to be slaves to technology, or technology has to be used by us? And that's where quality of conduct lies in. Significant point is build up of individuality. Building up of individuality, construction of individuality, you can say improvement to individuality, you can say, or you can say individuality is number one requirement of creating quality. If individual person knows what is quality, and if individual person tries to do that, to achieve that, and to go further to achieve that from defined line, then we can say something can happen. And in this, there are various roles. Roles of manufacturers, roles of industrialists, roles of owners, roles of engineers, roles of technicians, roles of workers. A long chain exists in which various roles are defined or to be defined. Engineer I am stressing not because I am engineer, but because engineer is industrialist in fact, though not owner but a part of industry. Industry is factory related, engineer is work related, engineer is development related, engineer is finance related, engineer is society related, engineer is safety related, engineer is quality related, engineer is world related, you can say development related. I am not saying civil engineer alone. When I say engineer, it includes all professionals who work in engineering. Not necessarily you are a qualified one academically. You have experience of couple of decades in some technology, and that is also in fact engineering, and one can be given respect to be named engineer. And I consider the lowest level of workers who deal in technology, they are also to some level engineering qualified in work. If they really do right work, if they really understand how work has to be done, what is best way to do it, and they learn that. So we can say if we go to that extent and don't worry about what pressures we get, non-engineering pressures, we should not worry about them, because when we deal with engineering, it is cost material, it is question of cost, time, quality, and other resources we have no right to waste. It doesn't matter to whom this belongs to, whose money is going to be spent, that is different aspect. I'm not concerned with that in this talk. My concern is that if I do wrong work, if I do bad work or non-quality work, it is lost to myself, it is lost to world, because every activity requires certain natural input, that's called natural material. We have no right to damage natural material. No one has got any such right. And we have to consider this point all time. And this is not question of individuality alone, and this is question of individuality at every level, at social level, at private level, at corporate level, at government level, at state level, and everywhere, wherever thing it relates to. So we can say responsibility of government, responsibility of society, responsibility of corporate, responsibility of professionals, responsibility of universities, responsibility of education, health system, everywhere you can regard. Then we can say how to control it then. If it is such a wide scenario, there should be something that we have forgotten somewhere or overlooked or condoned it. Why should we condone it when it's a requirement? That's an important point. There was a time when engineers were different. Means one engineer used to do many disciplines. Now they do separately. Now engineering has become a different one because everybody seeks that one should be specialized, and not only in engineering, also in all other like medical science and like others. Everybody wants to be declared, wants to be notified as a specialist and expert, or even super specialist. Well, this is human related terms which have been given for certain vested interests. Well, I think work is superlated, work is superior. If you're super specialist, I would say it's work, nothing else. Super specialist, it's your attempt, it's your effort, it's your intention, it's not result. Because there is no bar. When we do engineering, there is no bar. Okay, we say, okay, you qualified degree, or you qualified masters, or you qualified. That's fine, that's number of lectures you attend, or you can say what knowledge you could get in that time, but that knowledge does not stop you from learn more. Your degree does not stop you. You cannot learn more. It's not necessary that you should go to university again, or you should qualify some degree, further degree and post degree, or you can say masters or doctors. That's your interest. Means you learn it or you do it, same thing. If you work honestly, sincerely, and professionally, say for example, 10 years in job or somewhere else in your own business, entrepreneurship you have, you learn a lot commercially, professionally, technically. You involve in research. Likewise, you learn a lot, and that is not formally qualification, but that is not a formal qualification, but that is something you know. Your hands-on experience, your minds-on experience, and that's a very important point. So we should understand these points. Quality has many facets, many masks. You cannot simply say what I am saying is quality. It's your own way. You can define your quality. You can define different roles. And that's why I say, question that I say, is it that difficult? I say, no, it's not difficult. Is quality requirement so difficult that professionals ignore it or they remain under pressure? I think this point is not actually real one, but it's factually real one. Because of some fear, I don't know what. Means this is religion of engineering, that quality must exist. Without specified quality, specified achievements, we cannot say you have done engineering. We cannot simply say what I have done engineering. No, you have to do it some reference. Means everybody should know that reference. So then what you say, what's good quality or bad quality, that's questioning. My question remains, how to control it, and how is it can be people digest bad quality in goods? Is it possible? Bad quality means good does not perform to what was intended for or what our expectations remained. If this good does not perform, this product fails in that, to fulfill that requirement. It can be manufacturing activity or it can be construction activity. How to do that? Means can some system change it? Well, system was built to change it, but system could not do it because system is superficial. It is superficial. System can work only when everybody involved in that system is serious. And serious means you have to be in chain. You have to be in active loop, not in dead loop. In active loop, if you are located and you work there, and everybody, whoever is located, works with you, or with you work with them, one and same thing, because in loop there is no seniority or juniority. There is no such reference. Link or you can say loop is one unit of chain, and that chain should be, if one point remains inactive, it impacts all other points, because it's like voltage supply in series or not in parallel, in series. In series, if we work together, in series if we work successfully, it is called seriousness. And it may be series of actions done by one, or it may be series of actions done by many. It is called seriousness. One falling infects others. If say there are 5 persons in one loop, if one person does not do its job, then you can say it's like short circuit, right? Circuit is short, it's not complete. With these points we have to understand. We cannot say how quality can be controlled. Quality requires to be controlled. We cannot say engineers are not able to do this. Engineers are able to do it. They are able to do it. There is no denial to that. Government can do it. Government has a duty to do it. Everybody has role. But if everybody is serious, I am sure quality shall come with great power. Quality would come with great power, great performance, and that is where important point lies in. Government role is to help people from every viewpoint. It's not rule of governance, it is rule of service, rule of serving public. That is government. Government doesn't mean only rule. Government also means to be ruled. People and system have to rule government because people are owners of every power, owners of every wealth. Government has to help self by helping people, by helping raise of quality, by helping quality marks go up. It is role of government. Government doesn't mean empowerment without nothing, without anything. This is misconcept of government. If you serve people, you are best government. If you serve people from every viewpoint, it's best government. If you don't allow manufacturers to deceive people, if you don't allow industrialists to deceive people, they have to think in interest of public, they have to work qualitatively, and people must be happy with material they receive or they buy. That's what's happen. And government is responsible to controls lines, because ultimately individual is not powerful. Machine is operated by government, mechanical system, machine, you can say control government, control systems. If we cannot control, then there is no function left for government. Some people say it's not job of government. I would say every activity that is conducted in a country is job of that government, indirectly if not directly. Public is represented by government, and government has a duty to make sure that its public does not suffer from these point of views. In that case, engineers are technical governments, you may say. Engineer has to do technical work. Engineer should not worry about what those people who are not involved in job directly, and they dictate. Engineers has its own role. The role is production, role is manufacturing, role is construction, and all these must be quality based. It is not something new, I am telling, everybody knows it. Once you are in business or you are in engineering or you are in industry, wherever you are, everybody knows it, but denial is something different. So these questions for me are very important. Everybody has to answer these questions. Why we are not serious about quality? And I understand if you are serious about quality, there is no red light on way. You have always clear signal. Move and move and move. It is only, I think, negligence I can blame. It's ignorance I can blame of whosoever that we are not serious. Maybe we are very well dressed in system. You see, we should see personality of a person. There are some people who dress very well, and there are some people who do not have much seriousness about wearing which dress, what is composition of dress, which type of cloth you have to wear, how does it match oneself. Same if you think in our work, then we shall change work scenario. But it doesn't happen. We incline more on materials, more on personality, rather than personality of work. I should say personality of work, or you can say work image, work reflection, product reflection. Product speaking, the product does not speak, but its shape, its class, its power, its strength, its reliability, its fitness speak volumes and volumes that we have to think of. It's not simply design and construction I'm talking. It's not simply method and context I'm talking. I'm talking something realistic in everybody's life. So you can say it's a combination of various responsibilities from various roles, from various, you can say, levels. And this is where I said again, I say, my question is, you have to answer yourself of these deliberations, and that's what's provision by government to force productions and constructions be delivered with quality compliance, and what's the reason that quality requirements being ignored by nation, and what is it access, and she is not able to conduct required role towards quality domain. How can quality be controlled and systems work out for best organization in this regard? What should be the role of engineers in all branches of engineering? What should be the role of workers to handle instructions in this regard? Is quality requirement so difficult that professionals ignore it, or they remain under pressure? Can people digest bad quality in goods, products, and in construction? What's the role of government in this regard? What should be the role of customer or consumer or end user in this relation? And there are so many questions that you can read this Hindi script also if you wish to solve one, and we can see what are there which you have to find. And all these are very, very important points. Quality is not just a some coin you can just pick up and say this is quality. Quality is very important. I always say no seriousness exists. No seriousness has been observed among engineers from all branches about quality requirement. They know what is requirement, but achieving is that important point. I can say 90% more than less people are not serious. They know quality, they can do quality, but there's no reason what's happening. I don't know. No material mark is available that can give quality performance, yet quality mark is owned by material manufacturers. How is it possible? This means the quality certification is not perfect or it is ineffective, and it may be private sector or government sector. The existence no way of quality, and we have to be sure about this. I'm sure that engineers have forgotten quality, or they did not study it very well, or they do not want to update on this. Engineering is updated strength. We cannot say that I learned something in my university, then I have to forget it. If you forget it, you are not an engineer. You have to learn it. You have to read it again and again so that you remember it if it's not practiced enough on daily life. So quality improvement is something, it's for individual too. I can say every individual is important. Engineer, non-engineer, worker, staff, or you can say whosoever comes in your responsibility. Everybody has its responsibility, and that responsibility must be understood, must be charted out correctly. We have to find where weakness lies in, where problems lie in. It's now we cannot save anything if we do irrelevant work to quality. We spoil our time, we spoil our money because we have to rework, and that's where loss occurs. We have to be very serious about this matter. Quality is our life and it cannot go away. We always generally say his person is quality person, this person is quality life, and they say high standard of living is quality life. Well, I would not say that. Quality of life is quality of product. Whatever product you buy, even yourself, you are a product of university, and we should not forget that you are qualified from that university, and you don't understand how to talk and what to think of. That shouldn't happen. Generally, doesn't happen except very rare cases, you can say. So what I'm saying is concrete specification, as I was inclined to discuss about last time also, and I continued that one. This quality continuation of talk is very important to remind you all the time that quality is quality. You cannot deny this fact. And all systems, what's happening there, this we know. The job of engineers, because engineers are involved in industry, and industry cannot move without engineers. That's also true. Engineering world is industry, engineering world is factory, engineering was design, engineering was construction. So you can say major part of life is engineering. Even in defense forces, engineering is very important. Defense force can't work without that. Same way, whole society is based on engineering. Millions and millions of workers work in industry and factory and construction. They're all engineering resources. They're all engineering resources. We have to contemplate that way. It's not simply work knowledge. We have to study practical knowledge. We have to study what's happening around world, where you find problems, and you can see a traffic engineering. Even there is a traffic engineering, how to control traffic, how to move it, how to have a design of road system, or you can say its access. That quality of traffic movement is not impacted upon. That's an important point for you to see. Even in your personal life, quality is very important. How you want to, even when you walk, sometimes you feel, oh, it's a very bad surface I'm walking on. It happens, and there's a little protrusion from ground, and it's your you can say feet strikes that you feel, oh, what happened? I don't know. Oh my God, this is there on footpath and stumbled me. You can say that it happens. So we have to see again and again. My idea is being an engineer. You have to be an engineer. That we have to reinstate, bring back. We have lost quality, and if you can't do that, if you are unable to do that, you're not successful in this way. How to think about? Then believe me, you cannot have quality fulfilled. Then certifications do not mean anything. Seriously speaking, certificates are only for wall show. It's only for display. It's not for real play. We're talking of real play of quality. That's a very important point. Quality is quality. It cannot be discarded. It cannot be, you can say, dislocated as well. Yes, it can be ignored. That's all. It can be ignored. You can see whatever contracts you have at national level or at international level, contracts have never said, no contract says that quality is to be excluded. Can some contract says that? No contract says that you have to forget quality. Quality is first demand. Even if it's not demand, it's necessary, it's required. If quality of water is bad, say it's not delicious and there's some impurity in that, shall you drink water? That water? No one shall drink. Same if there's something, some element in your food, in vegetable, which does not satisfy quality. Can you eat that? No. Means for our health, if we do not know, if we do not understand what's right or wrong, we can refer to someone. But quality cannot be considered as privilege. It cannot be considered as luxury. If somebody thinks that way, I think there is a problem with that person in practical knowledge. That person does not understand its quality. And you have to understand quality. That's why I want to discuss every day if possible, or I make some note, and I know people are not interested in reading, and this is unfortunate. It's unfortunate development of computers. It's unfortunate development that we cannot concentrate. Concentration and thinking, contemplation and thinking, and you can say thinking based products, we have lost somewhere because of impatience, because of non-understanding. Impatience degree has risen a lot. Impatient. Even birds don't have patience. Cows, or you can say animals, don't have patience. And individual is expected to have patience because of various reasons, like charging and again charging, like that. This is some rod. That's what point is like. So I can say, we may say engineers are not well trained to an extent. Quality is concerned, because quality cannot be learned in theory alone. Computers use cannot bring quality input into products. And we can also say thousands of designers and executives are available in work, but never deliberate quality reason are unknown. We have many seminars, many webinars we conduct all over the world. How many of them are realized. If somebody exposes during that time, I'm an engineer, then that person should do something on engineering. But if person cannot do it, this means there's a degree of fake or false statement in that consideration. What we call engineering, is this what we call engineering? I call it engineering failure. If you don't really fed up with nation's silence on issues, and not only our nation's silence, many other nations' silence, really fed up, and we think of rising up and up and up, going to a level where we can say we have this power of improvement of nation, which can be called in economical terms, or we can be called in some other terms, knowledge area terms, or we can call in standards of representation. And here is point, which one is root engineer or supporting engineer or being supported. When we say root engineer, it is civil engineer who is interested in root of life, all roots of life, from your smallest age to your top age. Of course, their continuation of behaviors are broken, continuity is broken, and that we have to link again. Engineer is only that equipment, you can say, that media, you can say, which can say quality scenario. It should be self-oriented, it should be self-motivated. Why should someone force me? When I'm an educated person, I should know what's my duty, what's my responsibility. Why should someone come and so you do like that and like this? I know what has to be done. And that point lies in your development. You can't always think somebody else would come, he'll pay you, and you, that person, does this for me. No, that's not going to work. You have to be very clear about this, that engineer job is not easy, as people think. And those engineers who study engineering and go to world of, you can say, management, or world of elsewhere in engineering, and that is ISO 9001, you may say that is public protection, you can say, of course. But was it really a time, a danger at that? No, it's not that. Well, we have to think of institutions also, because institutions have been politicized, which should not be, it's not been done, but it has happened. Rather than being independent experts, institutions can't call them reliable, and call them, empty stomach. We can see there are so many points we can discuss in this. It means we can say, because civil engineering is first requirement, so, and also civil engineering products are meant for use during decades to come, while other products are only used for few years. And which also says that the responsibility of civil engineers, including structural engineers, only are engineers in root way. Structural engineer is an important position, and if you don't consider position, it's a requirement in your home, even then it's the same pattern of style, same style, it does it. So this point is very important, and we can say quality responsibilities lie on civil engineers, including structural engineers, but it doesn't happen in reality. Unfortunate it is that civil engineering quality is very important, because if civil engineering quality is reliable, it's good one. It's an impact on development of structure, it's an impact life of project, whatever done. And that's why I say, this means quality responsibilities lie on civil engineers, including structural engineers or design engineers, but doesn't happen in reality. And that's what I'm upset, and you should also be upset. You can say engineers have become only design oriented and no commitment. Robots rather than being practical and pragmatic professional. Our practical aspect, our learning has been discarded by those people who are having strength, who are having governance power. And that point, and you can see that, because it happens, quality is absent to that extent, I can say. If quality doesn't come back, means this, you may say, government is non-existent to that extent. I may say, because government doesn't think in quality terms. Government, if really these are democratic ones, they won't think qualitatively. And if there's kingdom, I think there's some strict action because king doesn't require any approval again and again through elections. And that's my point of concern. And it's not really, sometimes you can say we have to think differently. And engineers do not have communication coordination skills, and that's not the point of weakness. Coordination skills, communication skills, engineers do lack in, not all, but majority of them. Of course, very senior people communicate. That is, based on life experience. And I can say, struggle is very important in life of not only engineer but also everyone. Struggle, I think, it's a kind of quality. I think it is. If you have struggled, your performance would be different. Your personality would be different. You won't be original from 0-1. You'll start elsewhere from some other coordinate combination. So what I say, struggle is a part of life. Struggle, maybe it is difficult to digest, but struggle opens many ways of mind. It opens many windows of walls without being opened. Means your mind remains so active if you again and again struggle. And that struggle is not because you have to lift some weight or you have to walk at length. That struggle is ordinary one. And if you don't have struggled, you have not struggled, your kids have not struggled, then you are moving on the wrong path. Okay, you have not struggled, you are not struggling, but your children, they have to come up. And that's why I say, it's not simply book, you have to learn. You have to learn practical work, practical style, how we want to live in, how we do not want to use this facility. Those points must be very, very clear. And do not be toys in hands of industries or factory owners. Use them to your way. You use that inefficient electrician or plumber, but you should know job first. Otherwise, you can't do that. If I don't know job, I cannot do that. That point is very important. Or you can say, youth or budding engineers must learn, or else no one shall call them engineers. And that's a fact one. There was some quality system which has been lost, and whatever system exists, that's only a formal one. A sentence is sent and you have to understand yourself what I would say. Of course, it is at least you can say that person has guts, that person calling someone to help it. It's a good way. It's a really good way you have to think of. Those who never worked in field decide about education specifications in engineering, unfortunately. And those who never experienced field decide about codes, and this also unfortunate. How can someone decide about code when you don't have feedback from existing citizens in form of engineers? So we can say those who never worked in field decide about education specifications in engineering, and those who never experienced field decide about codes. And unfortunate, those professors who don't have any practical knowledge, they are involved in such scenario. Just degrees are not adequate, even if one is a doctorate. Experience, and that too quality based, be a must. Think about quality always anyway. Communication coordination a must, especially you can say significant disciplines and subjects. And we can say written document is a must for reference. So now it's about 1 hour on this talk. I'll go back to our file which I shared yesterday, and again I'm going to share that, and it is concrete. Concrete, which is our life material. Concrete is my friend, I can say. Concrete is like my relative. If concrete performs correctly, it performs rightly, then I should not worry about. Okay, there are rise and falls, sometimes help, but that's momentarily. But when one is normal in health, one has to work. That's where point is built up. In this way, we say last time we have gone to crack section, crack bonding, catch creek, crushing, creep creation, crush gravel, crush stone, crusher, run, aggregate, cube strength. We have gone through this. Curing blanket, curing cycle, curing relay. We have gone through this. Cut-in, grouting, cylindrical strength. We have done proofing. We have gone through this. Derby. Yes, we were in D. And we have gone through Derby. We have gone through dashboard coat. We gone to David, decracking, dead end, dead loud, and dead end anchor that one, debonding, decentering, decking decorative concrete, deflection, deformation, deformed bars, deformed reinforcement, deformed tie bar. So we go to this page 23. We will start with now, and in between we will talk of quality also, because just keeping boring is not enough. We have to be very serious about that issue. And what's happening, what's happening in COVID-19, again and again explain. Very, very serious situation. And it happens because of somewhere lack of quality indirectly in life and non-seriousness that exists among politicians to pass right information to people. That's also one reason that we have lost quality. None trusts none. Everybody trusts everybody. It should be, but here trust is absent. So we have talked of decorative concrete, we have talked of deflection, deflected tendons, deflection, deformation. So we can say what is deflected, what is deflection, Deflection is, you may say, what is deflection? We can define in terms of engineering. What is deflection? Deflection, movement. Actually, when I see it on a small page, I cannot find. So we can say deflection. Let me go to main. Otherwise, it's difficult for me to read, and it's very you may say. Deflection is the movement of a point on a structure. It's the movement of a point on a structure. Movement of a point, of course, the point moves, and that's called deflection. Vertical movement or horizontal movement, or movement in angle as a resultant. That's what deflection is. And we say deflection, movement of a point or a structure. Movement of a point or a structure or a structural element, usually measured as a linear displacement or a succession displacements transfers to a reference line or axis. Deformation is a change in dimension or shape. We have to see other definitions also in this case, deformations case, which relate to expansion, creep, length change, volume change, shrinkage, and time dependent deformation. Now, deformed bars generally is very common term. We buy steel reinforcement, and generally it's not plain or mild, it is deformed bars. So we can say a reinforcing bar or saria, lohe ka saria, a reinforcing bar with a manufactured pattern of surface ridges, intended to reduce slip and increase pull out, resistance of bars. Reduce slip, and when you say deformed bar, means it reduces slippage, it increases bond, and you can say pull out is increases pull out resistance of bars embedded in concrete because of these deformed, you can say ridges, surface ridges. And again I say a reinforcing bar with a manufactured pattern of surface ridges intended to reduce slip and increase pull out resistance of bars embedded in concrete. And then what is this reinforcement? Deformed reinforcement. Same bar is reinforcement. You can say metal bars, wire, or reinforcement with a manufactured pattern of surface. Ridges that provide a locking anchorage with surrounding concrete. Dehydration, there is a question of deformed tie bar also. So we have to refer to tie bar to understand that. Already we'll see that. Then dehydration. Dehydration is very simple in its article meaning, hydrate and dehydrate. This means something is hydrated, you reduce quantity of water, or you can say removal of chemically bound I say, removal of chemically bound, adsorbed or absorbed water from a material. This is explanation. If you remove chemical effect or you remove adsorbed or absorbed water from a material. Removal of chemically bound, adsorbed or absorbed water from a material is named dehydration. Dicer, D-E-I-C-E-R, dicer, a chemical such as sodium or calcium chloride used to melt ice or snow on slabs and pavements. Such melting being due to depression of freezing point. Dicer it is, chemicals such as sodium or calcium chloride used to melt ice or snow on slabs and pavements. Such melting being due to depression of freezing point. Here is delamination, a planar separation in a material that is roughly parallel to surface of material. Delamination it is. Delamination. My eyes are little. Delamination is a planar separation in a material sheet or material that is roughly parallel to surface of material. Delay, we'll see pre-stressing period. Then delayed attringite formation. Attringite, a form of sulfate attack by which mature hardened concrete is damaged. Attringite, it is attringite formation, surface attack on concrete, surface attack by which mature hardened concrete is damaged by internal expansion during exposure to cyclic wetting and drying. In that case, if sulfate attacks on hardened concrete, it's something happens damageable. Something is damaged by internal expansion during exposure to cycle, wetting and drying. Wetting and drying in service and caused by late formation of attringite, not because of excessive sulfate, not likely to occur unless concrete has been exposed to temperatures during curing of 1 or 70 degrees Celsius or greater and less. Likely to occur in concrete made with pozzolana in or you can say slag cement. That's what we can say. Attringite, we can explain further also this, and that's here we know we tell about, that is attringite formation. Attringite formation, form of sulfate attack by which mature hardened concrete is damaged by internal expansion during exposure to cycle, wetting and drying in service, and caused by late formation of attringite. And we may say that caused by late formation of attringite, a form of sulfate attack by which mature hardened concrete is damaged by internal expansion during exposure to cyclic wetting and drying in service, and caused by late formation of attringite, not because of excessive sulfate. Not likely to occur unless concrete has been exposed to temperatures during curing and at 70 degrees Celsius or greater, and less likely to occur in concrete made with porcelain or slag cement. This means attringite is ordinary concrete, is ordinary cement. It results in attringite. While if you use FPFA or GGBS, there are more chances. Delivery hose. I think I've understood attringite very well. Attringite, sulfate attack by which hardened concrete is damaged by internal expansion during exposure to cyclic wetting and drying in service, and caused by late formation of attringite, not because of excess sulfate, and not likely to occur unless concrete has been exposed to temperatures of 70 degrees. Delivery hose. Very simple physical term. Hose through which shotcrete, grout or pumped concrete or mortar passes, also called conveying hose or material hose. Demold, to remove molds from concrete, test specimen or precast products. Dense graded aggregate graded to produce low void content and maximize density when compacted, that is dense grade aggregate graded to produce low void content and maximum density when compacted. That's what it's a dense grade aggregate. And densifier is combination of silicate and water based components. Silicates and water based components that react in surface of concrete to produce additional calcium silicate hydrate. Silicates are combined with carrier compounds. Silicates are combined with, that is carrier compound, and most commonly sodium, potassium, or what is this? Lithium, I think, or lithium based on, you can say, this is here what I say as you can say densifier is talking of combination of silicate and water-based compounds that react in surface of concrete to produce additional calcium silicate hydrate CSH. Silicates are combined with carrier compounds, most commonly sodium, potassium, or lithium based to aid process. Some products also contain siliconate. So you can say calcium silicate hydrate, that is combination of silica and water based compounds that react in surface of concrete to produce additional calcium silicate hydrate. Silicates are combined with carrier compounds, most commonly sodium, potassium, or lithium based on aid process. Some process also called siliconate. Density is always mass per unit volume, and mass per unit volume of a dry substance at a stated temperature. Density control. Control of density of concrete in field construction to ensure that specified values as determined by standard tests are obtained. Vertical load per unit area, that is design bearing pressure. Design bearing pressure is vertical load per unit area, and that may be applied to bearing stratum at level of pier bottom. So I say density control is control of density of concrete in field construction to ensure that specified values as determined by standard tests are obtained. And we can say design bearing pressure, let me see, is fully charged. May say, let me take out for 5 minutes this and let us see how it works. Design bearing pressure, vertical load per unit area, that may be applied to bearing stratum at level of pier bottom. Design load, applicable loads and forces or their related internal moments and forces used to promote proportion members. Design strength, nominal strength multiplied by strength calculation factor phi. Nominal strength is phi factor. Detailer, who is detailer? Person, firm or corporation. Person, firm or corporation producing reinforcing steel fabrication details. This detailer definition: person, firm or corporation producing reinforcing steel fabrication details and placing drawings based on design drawings. Placing drawings based on design drawings and design detail for structure. And detailing is process of determining fabrication details based on design details. Deterioration, as term itself tells, physical manifestation of failure of material. An example is cracking, delamination, flaking, pitting, scaling, spalling, staining. Cracking, you can say crack. Delamination, flaking, see cracking, delamination, flaking, pitting, scaling, spalling, staining. So many are there, starting with cracks. So crack is number one. Then it affects surface and affects flex into number of flex, you can say. Print pitting, and of course scaling. spalling, staining, all caused by environmental or internal autogenous influences on rock. Caused by environmental or internal autogenous influences on rock and hardened concrete, as well as other materials. Decomposition of material during either testing or exposure to service. So deterioration is that. Not one, not two, many points are involved in that. Then say physical manifestation. Again, I repeat, it's very important term, though its vocabulary is different, but here it is technical meaning in quotes, and that's why I am sharing this with you for technical representation. Physical manifestation of failure of material, and in that comes, you can count cracking, delamination, flake, pitting, scaling, spalling, staining, which are all caused by environmental or internal autogenous influences on rock and hardened concrete as well as other materials. Decomposition of material during either testing or exposure to service, and we have to see disintegration and weathering. Development bond stress, and we have to see development length, bonded length required to achieve desired strength, bonded length required to achieve design strength of a reinforcement at a critical section, and bonded length required to achieve design strength of a reinforcement of a critical section. Devil's float. Devil's float is here. You can say a wooden float with two nails, protruding from a toe, used to roughen surface of a brown plaster coat. Devil's float. Wooden float with two nails protruding from toe, used to roughen surface of a brown plaster coat. Diagonal crack, very common term here. In a flexural member, that is beam, you may say, an inclined crack caused by shear stress, usually at approximately 45 degrees to axis. A crack in a slab not parallel to either or lateral or longitudinal section, that is a crack in slab not parallel to either lateral or longitudinal direction. And diagonal cracking, which is development of diagonal cracks, it's called diagonal cracking. And diagonal tension, which is principal diagonal tension is principal tensile stress resulting from combination of normal and shear stress. Acting upon a structural element. Diametral compression test, that is splitting tensile test. Diamond mesh, a metallic fabric having rhomboidal opening. Openings in a geometric pattern, or we can refer to expanded metal lath, XPA mat. That is diagonal mesh, and we can say diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth, right? And we can say, let me put back this so that it doesn't reflect. It should be, you have this relaxation here, and this is what it is. Diatomaceous earth, a friable earthy material, a friable earthy material composed primarily of nearly pure hydrous amorphous silica, opal, yeah, called a friable earthy material composed primarily of nearly pure hydrous amorphous silica, which are called opal, in form of frustules of microscopic plants called diatoms. Diatoms. I can say, talking of diaceous earth, diatomaceous earth, which is friable one, is earthy material and is composed of primarily of nearly pure hydrous amorphous silica opal in form of frustules of microscopic plants called diatoms. Dicalcium silicate, diatoms earth, I think you're clear with, a friable earthy material composed primarily of nearly pure hydrous amorphous silica, in form of frustules of microscopic plants called diatoms. Dicalcium silicate, compound having composition 2CaO SiO2, abbreviated C2S. That is an impure form of which occurs in Portland cement clinker, and that is belite. Dicalcium silicate, C, compound having composition to CaSO2, and we can say C2S. Differential thermal analysis. Differential thermal analysis let me put off its battery because it's fully charged. I don't want to spoil battery, and put it off for a second. Also I stretch my leg a little. It's 10 degrees, cold one. I don't know how to organize one. You can say now differential thermal analysis, and it's called DTA. Differential thermal analysis, indication of thermal reaction. It is indication of thermal reaction by differential thermocouple. Differential thermal analysis, DTA, indication of thermal reaction by differential thermocouple. Indication of thermal reaction by differential thermocouple, recording of temperature changes in a simple under investigation compared with those of a thermally passive control sample, both of which are subject simultaneously to same heating condition. I repeat, differential thermal analysis, DTA, indication of thermal reaction by differential thermocouple, recording of temperature changes in sample under investigation compared with those of a thermally passive control sample, both of which are subjected simultaneously to same heating conditions. Indication of thermal reaction by differential thermocouple, recording of temperature changes in a sample under investigation compared with those of a thermally passive controlled sample, both of which are subjected simultaneously to same heating conditions. Diffusion. Involvement of species we will say diffusion, movement, not involvement, movement of species, and these are ions, gas or vapor. Movement of species, which is ions, gas or vapor, and these are species, form and from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration, independent of bulk motion of a fluid. Diffusion we are defining, that is movement of species from, and these are ions, gas and vapor, we are calling them. Ionization means ions is involved, so ions, negative electronic charges we call ion, and gas or vapor, and this is from movement of this from one area of higher concentration, from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration, independent of bulk motion of a fluid. So this is diffusion, higher pressure, higher concentration to lower concentration movement, and is independent of bulk motion of a fluid. So this is diffusion. And dilation, an expansion of concrete during cooling or freezing, generally calculated as maximum deviation from normal thermal contraction, predicted from length change or temperature curve or length change time curve, that is established at temperatures before initial freezing. Dilation, expansion of concrete during cooling or freezing, generally calculated as maximum deviation from normal thermal contraction. Predicted from a length change temperature curve or length change time curve established at temperatures before initial freezing. So cooling or freezing generally calculated as maximum deviation from normal thermal contraction, predicted. Okay, now direct dumping, discharge of concrete delivery into place from crane, bucket or mixer. Discoloration, departure of color from that which is normal or desired. Disintegration, as term itself says, reduction into small fragments. And subsequently into particles. Reduction into small fragments and subsequently into particles. Deterioration and weathering. It's called disintegration, reduction into small fragments and subsequently into particles. Dispersing agent. Dispersing agent. A material capable of increasing fluidity of pastes. Fluidity of pastes. A material capable of increasing fluidity of paste, or you can say in other terms, decrease of viscosity. Mortars it may be, or concrete, by reduction of interparticle attraction. Dispersing agent. It's repetition. Dispersing agent. A material capable of increasing fluidity of paste. Fluidity of paste. Mortars or concrete by reduction in interparticle attraction. Distortion is same as deformation and distress. Distress. What is distress? Physical manifestation of cracking. Physical manifestation of cracking and distortion in concrete structure as result of stress, chemical action, or both. Distress it is. Distress. Physical manifestation of cracking and distortion in a concrete structure as results of stress, chemical action, or both. Distribution bar reinforcement. Distribution, that you can say bar reinforcement. Smaller diameter bars usually at right angles to main reinforcement. Smaller diameter bars usually at right angles to main reinforcement intended to spread a concentrated load on slab and to prevent cracking. Smaller diameter bars usually at right angles to main reinforcement intended to spread a concentrated load on a slab and to prevent cracking. D-line cracks, we have CD cracking terms. Dome, very clear term, dome, which is, you can say, square prefabricated pan form used in two ways: waffle, concrete, joist floor construction. This is square prefabricated pan. That is dome, square prefabricated pan form used in two ways: waffle, concrete joist floor construction. We may say dome is a square prefabricated pan Span used in two ways: waffle, concrete, joist floor construction. Dormant crack, a crack whose width does not change with time. Dormant crack whose width does not change with time. Double T-beam. Double T-beam, a precast concrete member composed of two stems and a combined top flange. Two stems and combined top flange, commonly used as beam but also used vertically in exterior walls. It is double T-beam, precast member composed of two stems and a combined top flange, commonly used as a beam but also used vertically in external walls. Double up. Double up. Double T-beam we have done, double up. Method of plastering. Method of plastering characterized by application in successive operation with no setting or drying time between coats. Double up. Method of plastering characterized by application in successive operations with no setting or drying time between coats. Dowel. A steel pin. It is a steel pin. A steel pin we may say develop, as I said, method of plastering characterized by application and successive coating, successive operations with no setting or drying time between coats. Dowel. We have here dowel. Dowel, which is very common term, common inclusion. A steel pin commonly in a plain or coated round steel bar that extends into adjoining portion of concrete construction as it an expansion or conduction joint in pavement slab. Dowel is a steel pin, commonly a plain or coated round steel bar that extends into adjoining portion of a concrete construction as an integral expansion. uh, Dowel bar reinforcement, we have seen dowel, and also we have seen deformed reinforcing bar intended to transmit tension required compression or shear strength. So we see a steel pin, commonly a plain or coated round steel bar that extends into adjoining portion of concrete construction as at an expansion or contraction joint in a pavement slab to transfer shear loads. A deformed reinforcing bar intended to transmit tension, compression or shear load, through construction joint. Dowel rod, as we said, dowel reinforcement same, and drainage fill. Drainage fill base course, drainage fill. Base course of granular material placed between floor slab and subgrade. That's base course, and that's floor slab and subgrade base courses. Granular material placed between floor slab and subgrade to impede capillary rise of moisture. Lightweight concrete fill placed in on floors and roofs to promote drainage. So we can say drainage fill. Drainage fill, we can say drainage fill here. Fill. Base course of granular material. Drainage fill. Base course of granular material. Base course of granular material placed between floor slab and subgrade. That's called base course of granular material placed between floor slab and subgrade to impede capillary rise of moisture. We have to stop capillary rise of moisture from soil to structure. So drainage fill is that it does not allow flow of water through capillary rise. That is to be impeded. Lightweight concrete placed on floors or roofs or to promote drainage. Lightweight concrete placed on floors, on roofs to promote drainage, and that is lightweight concrete. We generally call foam concrete also. Draped tendons. Draped tendons. Tendons that have a trajectory that is curved or bent with respect to gravity axis of concrete member. Dryer. Chemical that promotes oxidation. Chemical that promotes oxidation or drying of paint or adhesive. That promotes oxidation or drying of a paint or adhesive. Drilled pier, concrete pier with or without a casing, cast in place in a hole, bored in soil or rock. Drilled pile, also drilled in caisson. Caisson, if you say drilled in, you can say cast in place, you can say cast in place pile formed by driving an open-ended steel pipe. Cast in place pipe formed by driving an open-ended steel pipe into bedrock or other bearing layer. Clearing out pipe, drilling a socket into bedrock or other bearing layer and placing steel reinforcement and concrete, also called caisson foundation or caisson. Cast in place pile formed by driving an open-ended steel pipe into bedrock or other layer. Cleaning out pipe, drilling a socket into bedrock or other bearings layer, placing steel reinforcement and concrete. What is drip? A transverse groove in underside of projecting piece of wood. A transverse groove in underside of projecting piece of wood, stone or concrete to prevent water from flowing back to walls. A transverse groove in underside of projecting piece of wood, stone or concrete to prevent water from flowing back to wall. Drop panel. Thickened structural portion of a flat slab. Thickened structural portion of a flat slab in area surrounding column capital or bracket to reduce intensity of stresses. Drop chute. Thickened structural portion of, that is drop panel. I'm saying drop chute, a device used to confine or to direct flow of falling stream of fresh concrete. Drop chute, a device used to confine or to direct flow of a falling stream of fresh concrete. Here is articulated drop chute or flexible drop chute. Articulated drop chute is a device consisting of succession of tapered metal cylinders, so designed that lower end of each cylinder fits into upper end of one below. Articulated drop chute consists of a succession of tapered metal cylinders, so designed lower end of each cylinder fits into upper end of one below. Flexible drop chute, a device consisting of a heavy rubberized canvas or plastic collapsible tube. Flexible drop chute, a device consisting of a heavy rubberized canvas or plastic collapsible tube. This is flexible drop chute. Difference between two is one is articulated and one is flexible. In articulated, we say it consists of succession of tapered metal cylinders, so designed that lower end of each cylinder fits into upper end of one below. Flexible drop chute is device consisting of heavy rubberized canvas or plastic collapsible tube. So this is difference. And generally, flexible used in with, you can say, where there is crane using skip. Generally it is flexible, and when you use pump, you can say, you use mobile pump or reciprocating pump, we use articulated drop chute. So there's, say, pipe, we can say, end or chute when using pump has no rubber canvas. When you use bucket, you have rubber drop chute. It happens probably. Dry mix, a concrete mortar or plaster mixture. Concrete mortar or plaster mixture, commonly sold in bags, containing all components except water. Concrete of near zero slump. And we say dry mix. Concrete mortar that I told you, that zero slump and it's only dry without water. It's concrete or mortar plaster mix, whatever, commonly sold in bags. That's dry mix, containing all components except water. And dry mixing is same. This is a blending of solid materials for mortar or concrete before adding mixing water. And dry pack, concrete or mortar mixture, deposited and consolidated by dry packing. Dry pack, concrete or mortar mixture, deposited and consolidated by dry pack. Dry packing, placing of zero slump or near zero slump, concrete, mortar or grout by ramming into a confined space. Important for dry concrete, you can say it is dry packing, placing of zero slump or non-zero slump, concrete, mortar or grout by ramming into confined space. And we have here dry process in manufacture of cement. In manufacture of cement, process in which raw materials are ground, conveyed, blended, and stored. Raw materials are ground. In manufacture of cement, process in which raw materials are ground, conveyed, blended, and stored in a dry condition. It's called dry process. Dry rolling. Dry rolling. Dry rolling in measurement of mass per unit volume. Measurement of mass per unit volume of coarse aggregate. Measurement of mass per unit volume of coarse aggregate. Process of consolidating dry material. Process of consolidating dry material in a calibrated container. Process of consolidating dry material in a calibrated container by rolling under standardized conditions. It's dry rolling and measurement of mass per unit volume of coarse aggregate. Process of consolidating dry material in calibrated container by rolling under standardized conditions. And we can say dry topping is dry shape. Dry batch weight. Dry batch weight. Mass of materials excluding water used to make a batch of concrete. Dry batch weight. Dry cast process, a process for producing concrete products such as pipe. A process for producing concrete products such as pipe using low frequency, high amplitude pipe using low frequency, high amplitude vibration to consolidate dry mixed concrete in form. Again I say dry cast processes. Process for producing concrete products. Process for processing concrete products such as pipe using low frequency, high amplitude vibration to consolidate dry mix concrete in form. This is dry mix shotcrete. Dry mix shotcrete in which most mixing water is added at nozzle, also called dry process shotcrete. Shotcrete, that is dry mix shotcrete. It is shotcrete in which most mixing water is added at nozzle, also called dry process shotcrete. So this is dry mix shotcrete in which most of mixing water is added to nozzle. Dry packed concrete placed by dry packing. Dry roded density. Mass per unit volume of dry aggregate, which includes volume of particles and voids between particles, compacted by rolling under standard conditions. So mass per unit volume of dry aggregate, which includes volume of particles and voids between particles. We have here dry eroded density, that is mass per volume of dry aggregate, which include volume of particles and voids, with particles compacted by rotting under standardized conditions. Dry eroded volume, bulk volume occupied by a dry aggregate compared to we can say now, let's go to dry eroded volume, a bulk volume occupied by dry aggregate compacted by rotting under standardized conditions used in measuring density of aggregate. Dry eroded weight, we have seen dry eroded density, dry shake, dry mixture of hydraulic cement and fine aggregate, either mineral or metallic, that is disturbed by disturb event. We have to see as dry shake, we have seen a dry shake of hydraulic cement and fine aggregate, either mineral or metallic, that is distributed evenly over surface of concrete, flat work and worked into surface before time of final settings, and then floated and toweled to desired finish. I again say this is dry eroded weight shake. Is dry shake a dry mixture of hydraulic cement, lime aggregate, either mineral or metallic. This fine aggregate, I'm sorry, not line aggregate, this is fine aggregate. I apologize for wrong word. Maybe I cannot see correctly. In dry mix of hydraulic cement and aggregate, other minerals or metallic, the difference that distributed evenly caused over surface of concrete is just block work, flat work and worked upon surface before time of final setting, and then floated and toweled to desired finish. So this is dry shake and dry damp process. Now we have to see dry dry shake has gone, dry temp process and dry packing, drying creep caused by drying and drying case, loss of moisture, duct and no drying duct. You can say shrinkage of this material creating a conduit. What is duct here is material creating a conduit in a concrete member to accommodate process pre-stressing steel in a post-transmission tender. Post-testing tender, Duct means material creating a conduit in concrete member to accommodate process pre-stressing steel in of a post-tension tendon. A material duct is a material creating a conduit in a concrete member to accommodate pre-stressing steel and a post-tension ductility. Ductility is ratio of displacement of, we can say ratio of displacement at ultimate strength to displacement at which yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. Ratio of displacement at ultimate strength. What is displacement at ultimate strength of? And that is divided by displacement at which yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. So this is ultimate strength to flexural reinforcement occurs. That is two ratios. You will say ratio of displacement of ultimate stress. Ultimate stress versus displacement. There you see ultimate stress, ultimate strength versus ratio of displacement or displacement at which yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. That is ductility. You can say mathematical derivation it is, which again say this. That is ductility defined as ratio of displacement ultimate strength by concrete member to accommodate, you can say, ratio of displacement of ultimate strength to displacement at which yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. In Dunagang analysis of solidities now, and a method of separating ingredients of freshly mixed concrete or mortar in determining proportion of mixture. So this is durability. What is durability? We are talking now, you can say, we talked about ductility. That is, you can say, we talked about ductility, that is, we can say ratio of displacement of ultimate strength to displacement at which yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. Means flexural reinforcement, yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. Displacement, ultimate displacement, both displacements, and that is a yield which is flexural reinforcement occurs. And now you can say ductility, that is ratio of two. It's very important one, ductility. Why we define ductility here? Displacement of ultimate strength. Ultimate strength at displacement of ultimate, ratio of displacement at ultimate strength to displacement at which yield of flexural reinforcement occurs. And durability, ability of material to resist weathering action. Ability of material to resist weathering action, chemical attack, abrasion, and other condition of service. Ability of material to resist weathering action. Ability of material to resist weathering action, chemical attack, abrasion and other conditions of service. Durability factor. Durability has certain factor, and we can say measure of change in material property. Measure of change in material property over a period of time. Measure of change in a material property over a period of time as a response to exposure to treatment that can cause deterioration, usually expressed as percentage of value of property before exposure. Again I say it is a factor of durability because durability is dependent on many factors, as we said, to resist weathering action, chemical attack, abrasion, and other conditions. So its measurement, I can say, is a measure of change in material property, because it's opposite to material property change. Measure of change in a material property over a period of time as a response to exposure to treatment. Material property changes when it's exposed to treatment. Response to exposure to treatment that will cause deterioration, usually expressed as percentage of value of property before exposure. ASTM code C666C666M, a measure of effects of freezing and thawing action on concrete specimen. Fracture in aggregate. Rock dust. Fracture. Aggregate was that. Fracture, rock dust created during production. Rock dirt creating infection, as you can say, during production, processing, or handling. That is dust of fracture, you can say, rather than fracture. Dust of fracture. Dust of fracture, rock dust created during production, processing, or handling. Dusting, development of powdered material. Development of powdered material at surface of hardened concrete. Development of powdered material at surface of hardened concrete. Dynamic analysis. Analysis of stresses. Let me see in percentage it is. 1 hour, 58%. Okay, let me see. Dynamic analysis is analysis of stresses in framing as functions. Analysis of stresses in framing as functions of displacement under transient loading. Analysis of stresses in framing as functions of displacement and under transient loading. Dynamic load, imposed load that is in motion, imposed load that is in motion. Dynamic analysis is an imposed analysis of stresses in framing as functions of displacement under transient loading, and dynamic loading is an imposed load that is in motion and may vary with time in magnitude or direction. A dynamic loading from units, particularly machinery, that by virtue of their movement or vibration impose stresses in excess of those imposed by their dead load. You can say dynamic loading is, you can say loading from units, particularly machinery, that by virtue of their movement or vibration imposes stresses in excess of those imposed by their dead load. Dynamic model of elasticity. Modulus of elasticity computed from size, mass, shape, or fundamental properties of vibration of concrete test specimen or from pulse velocity. Dynamic modulus of elasticity. Then early age of concrete, period after final setting during which properties are changing rapidly, or properties change rapidly. Early age period after setting during which properties change rapidly. And early stiffening, early development of abnormal reduction, early stiffening, early development of an abnormal reduction in working characteristics of hydraulic cement paste, early stiffening, and early development of an abnormal reduction of working characteristics of hydraulic cement paste, mortar, or concrete, which may be further described as false setting, quick setting, or flash setting. Early stiffening is that. Early stiffening, you may say, early stiffening period, early stiffening, early development of an abnormal reduction, early development of an abnormal reduction in working characteristics of hydraulic cement paste, mortar, or concrete, which may be further described as false setting, quick setting, or flash setting. Early stiffening is flash setting. Early development of abnormal reduction in working characteristics of hydraulic cement paste, mortar, or concrete, which may be further described as false setting, quick setting, or flash setting. Early strength. We have gone to, you can say, flash setting, that's early stiffening. Further said false setting, quick setting, you can say mortar or whatever. Early development of abnormal reduction in working characteristics of hydraulic cement based parts, which may be further described as false setting, quick setting, flash setting. And early strength of increase, Then early strength of concrete or mortar, usually developed at various times during first 72 hours after placement. That is, strength of concrete or mortar usually developed. Usually, you can say nonsense. Strength of concrete or mortar. Strength of concrete or mortar usually has developed at various times during first 72 hours after placement. Early entry dry cut saw. Early entry dry cut saw. A tool designed to cut early entry dry cut saw. A tool designed to cut joints in concrete commencing 1 to 4 hours after finishing and without raveling cut edges. What we say early entry dry cut saw. We can say a tool designed to cut joints. A tool designed to cut joints in concrete. A tool to design cut joints through concrete. Commencing 1 to 4 in all hours, 1 to 4 hours after finishing and without raveling cut edges. Early entry dry cut saw. And we can say here it is early entry dry cut saw, a tool designed to cut joints in concrete commencing 1 to 4 hours after finishing and without raveling cut edges. Then we can say eccentric tendon. Eccentric tendon. Also here we have 51 minutes remaining, so better I put it on. And put me down. Eccentric tendon. A pre-stressing tendon that follows a trajectory not coincident with gravity axis of concrete member. Eccentric tendon, pre-stressing tendon following a trajectory not coincident with gravity axis of concrete member. So it's eccentric tendon. Edge beam. A stiffening beam. A stiffening beam at edge of a slab. A stiffening beam at edge of slab. Now we have edge form. Form work used to limit horizontal spread of fresh concrete on surfaces such as pavements or floors. Edge form. Form work used to limit horizontal spread of fresh concrete on surfaces such as pavement or floors. Edge reinforcement. Tensile reinforcement, sometimes used to strengthen otherwise inadequate edges, or you can say tensile reinforcement, sometimes used to strengthen otherwise edge thickening. Tensile reinforcement sometimes used to strengthen otherwise inadequate stages in a slab without restoring to edge thickening. Edger. A finishing tool used on edges of fresh concrete. A finishing tool used on edges of fresh concrete to provide a rounded edge. Yes, edger. Edging, operation of tooling. Operation of tooling edges of a fresh concrete slab to provide a rounded corner. Now we go to edging. Edging is operation of tooling edges of a fresh concrete slab to provide a round corner. Effective area of concrete. Effective area of concrete, and we have to see area of concrete section assumed to resist shear or flexural stresses. Effective depth of section. Distance measured from extreme compression fiber to centroid of longitudinal tension reinforcement. Effect of the section. Effective flange width is width of slab adjoining a beam. Stem, width of slab adjoining a beam. Stem. A slab is assumed to function as flange element of T beam. Effective pre-stress. Effective pre-stress. Effective pre-stress is stress remaining in pre-stressing steel. Stress remaining in pre-stressing steel after all losses have occurred. Stress remaining in pre-stressing steel after all losses have occurred, called final pre-stress or final stress. Effective span, you may say, effective span lesser of two following distances: distance between supports and also clear distance between supports plus effective length, effective depth of beam or slab. Effective stress, and we can say effective width of slab. Effective width of slab. I have to put flashback on again, otherwise this is maybe I forget, it affects. So we are talking of effective width of slab and fluorescence. So effective width of slab, we have seen part of width of slab taken into account. And you can see when designing T or L beams. And efflorescence is generally white deposit formed when water soluble compounds emerge. A generally white deposit formed when water soluble compounds emerge in solution from concrete masonry or plaster substrata and precipitated by reactions such as carbonation or crystallized by evaporation. So it is that in the fact a kind of, you can say, fluorescence, white deposit formed when water soluble compounds emerge in solution from concrete masonry or plaster substrates and precipitate by reaction such as carbonation or crystallize by operation. Elastic design based on linear distribution of flexural stresses and strains in corresponding limiting elastic properties of material. Elastic limit of stress beyond which strain is not wholly recoverable, and that is elastic limit of stress beyond which strain is not wholly recoverable. That's what we say. And elastic loss is pre-stress concrete. In pre-stress concrete, reduction in pre-stressing load. In pre-stressing concrete, reduction in pre-stressing load resulting from elastic shortening of member. Elastic loss is pre-stress concrete. In the pre-stress concrete, elastic loss is in pre-stress concrete, reduction in pre-stressing load resulting from elastic shortening of member. And elastic shortening is in pre-stress concrete, shortening of member that occurs immediately on application of forces induced by pre-stressing. Elasticity is very simple, of course. Elasticity is very simple here, and we can say that property of a material by virtue of which it tends to recover its original size and shape after deformation. Property of material by virtue of which it tends to recover its original size and shape after deformation. And electrical curing is a system in which favorable temperature is maintained in freshly placed concrete by supplying heat generated by electrical resistance. Electrical curing is a system in which a favorable temperature is maintained in freshly placed concrete by supplying heat generated by electrical resistance. And electrolysis is a production of chemical changes by passage of current through an electrolyte. भाई बारिश आ गई 5-6 बजे. So electrolyte, a conducting medium. Electrolyte, a conducting medium in which flow of current is accompanied by movement of matter, usually an aqueous solution. Electrolyte, a conducting medium in which flow of current is accompanied by movement of matter. So electrical curing is an important term here. We should say, let us see electrical curing. Electrical curing of concrete is done by employing heat generated from an alternating current to raise temperature of maturing concrete. Concrete is heated up using an AC till up to about 90 degrees Celsius, because 10 degrees more shall cause water to turn into steam, which can cause damage to concrete. Let us see what it is. Hot curing, how electrical curing can save your time. Electrical curing of concrete. Let us see electrical curing of concrete is something important here. How electrical curing can save time. There's some 11 methods of curing of concrete. Accelerated curing of steel fiber, different types of curing methods, concrete construction. Effect, and that's I think effect of electrical curing of concrete on maturity. Let's try to see this. This is a full text PDF. Electrical effects of electrical cure of concrete on maturity and incompressible strength. Let us see what it says. Download in progress. Where is in progress? Electrical curing. Let's see if it's download in progress or not. Okay, it's there. Let's say here now what it says. That's the point here. And here it is. Effects of electrical curing. On maturity of concrete strength. Maturity of strength, you can say. Effects of maturity and compressive strength. What it says in this study, effects of concrete structure which are 253 and 354 kilogram per cubic meter cement per cubic meter concrete, and different voltage levels applicable: 0 voltage, 40 voltage, 60 voltage, 80 voltage, 100 voltage AC on concrete maturity have been investigated. It has been discussed if there is a relationship with maturity and compressive strength of concrete, to which stress intensity has been applied. Electrical current has been applied on fresh concrete for 24 hours, whose sizes are 10 into 10 into 35 centimeters. Their internal temperature of concrete have been recorded and maturity value have been calculated. It has been concluded that AC stress intensity can be used to accelerate maturity through obtaining optimum degree of concrete's internal temperature without any compressive strength lost. So in this, we say concept of maturity is a method. Concept of maturity is a method which plays a role in concrete's gaining strength. Concept of maturity is a method which plays a role in concrete's gaining strength, and this method is measured through defining relation between temperature and time. Method can be used to predict compressive strength of concrete, which are poured into mold during production phase in following days. Maturity degree as a factor which defines concrete's hardening situation is used as a non-damaged method for production of concrete system. Maturity method can be used for temperature time effects. Maturity method can be used for temperature time effects on strength development. In order to use maturity method, relation between strength and maturity which goes to be used in concrete should be identified. Maturity can be calculated through continuously observing temperature history of concrete. Maturity can be calculated through continuously observing temperature history of concrete, which is poured into mold during casting stage. Compressive strength is most important feature of concrete. Other features of concrete such as tensile strength, flexural strength, elasticity, models, water tightness, and durability are related with compressive strength. According to age and temperature of concrete, maturity approaches is often used to predict compressive strength. Now, Saul, who proposed principle of maturity, declares that compressive strength can be changed according to curing of concrete under different temperatures. Thorby, though through having same maturity, found out that maturity method could be applied to concretes in which datum temperature was redefined. He also showed that maturity method was valid for normal curing temperatures. Normal curing temperatures. Hydration of cement particles depends upon both characteristics, features of components, environmental factors. When temperature of concrete rises, temperature of curing rises. When temperature of curing rises, great changes on reaction kinetics. When temperature of curing rises, great changes when temperature of curing rises, great changes on reaction kinetics, microstructure, porosity, and hydration degree in cement paste have been observed. When temperature of curing, very important point, when temperature of concrete rises, great changes on reaction kinetics, microstructure, porosity, and hydration degree in cement paste have been observed. Several studies have been conducted to elucidate influence of combined effect of age, curing temperature, and electrical cure on different mechanisms involved during cement hydration. Several studies have been conducted to elucidate influence of combined effect of age, curing temperature, and electrical cure on different mechanisms involved during cement hydration. One researcher applied DC current to cement paste which had different water cement ratio 0.4, 0.45, 0.5, 0.55, different metal admixtures, fly ash, silica fume, and glass furnace slag, and different ratios by weight 10, 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%. The result of their study applying electrical current can be used for obtaining rapid setting time on cement paste with high volume mineral admixture. Also, Gundo found that high duration of final setting time was shortened as amount of cement and concrete and voltage level increased. Then another examined microstrip cement paste hydrated temperature range from 5 to 50 degrees Celsius. Also found out that uniform distribution of hydration product for cement had been occurred at low temperatures, while a non-uniform hydration process for cement cured had been occurred at high temperatures. So likewise, MICWA 2009 developed a multi-component hydration model and evaluated hydrothermomechanical development of hardening concrete at different curing temperatures. Then Laplanty proposed a material maturity technique which is based on general law of chemical reactivity, chemical reaction acceleration depending on temperature. In this study, effect of amount of cement and concrete and voltage level of concrete and maturity and compressive strength of concrete at the end of first day, 180 days have been investigated and been researched if relationship can be established between maturity and compressive strength of concretes to which stresses industry has been applied. So production of specimen concrete have been produced through using 253, whatever it is means, say you can say here is a sampling code, cement is all that, you can see, just referring to you what is the preparation of experiment setup and like this. Internal temperature of concrete are recalled in every 10 minutes likewise, and impact of doses and voltage which are maturity as seen. It has been identified the maturity can be calculated between 10 degrees to 45 degrees temperature. It has been identified the maturity can be calculated between 10 to 45 degrees temperature of the concrete. In order to research effect of doses and voltage level of maturity, Majority of concrete has been compared to applying stresses to concretes which have been a stable water cement ratio 0.65. And likewise you can say it's only reference I'm showing to you, and is hydration time here, and this is maturity. So our purpose is just to understand how it was done. It's not that we are going to prove it, just for reference. And this is impact of internal temperature, concrete and compressive strength. Most effective factor to determine mechanical properties of concrete is hydration. Most effective factor to determine mechanical properties of concrete is hydration. Temperature at final setting time. Maturity is associated with age and internal temperature of concrete. As internal temperature of concrete increases, hydration reactions becomes quicker. Although hydration reactions accelerate until internal temperature of concrete increases to 100 degrees Celsius. Some researchers show that optimum value span of internal temperature of concrete is 45 to 50 degrees Celsius without strength loss, whereas higher internal temperatures, most suitable internal temperature of concrete is determined as 100 Fahrenheit, or you can say 38 degrees Celsius. In ACI 308 standard, ACI 308 2001, someone examined the effect of hydration temperatures 20 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius span of cement-based mortars, to which fly ash was added by weight on compressive strength. As a result, they found that most suitable optimum internal temperature of mortar is determined 40 degrees for pozzolanic action. In order to examine relation between highest internal temperature of concrete and one-day compressive strength as a result of 0 volt, 40 volt, 60 volt, 80 volts, 100 volts AC current application to concretes which have 250, 300, 350, 400 kg per meter cube cement has been formed, figure. In general, as amount of cement in concretes and voltage level increase, compressive strength of concrete for one day increase to one day compressive strength of concrete which has about 350 to 400 kg per meter cube cement increases because of internal temperature takes very high value such as 100 to 110 degrees Celsius. It can be explained through that internal temperature of concrete which has 350 and 400 kg per meter cube cement takes higher value than internal temperature values of concretes which have 250 and 300 kg per meter cube. Vaporization of surface water of concrete which have 350 and 400 kg per cubic meter cement is quicker than vaporization of concrete which has 350 and 300 kg per cubic meter. This situation is caused by vaporization of some of water needed for hydration of cement. When value of voltage level increases, internal temperature of concrete increases, as well as 1 day, 280 days, 180 days compressive strength of concrete which is 300 kg per cement and whose water treatment ratio is 0.65 have been examined. For remaining days of 180 days specimens have been saved at room temperatures. Determined that 1 day compressive strength value of concrete to which current is applied are measured generally higher than ones to which current is applied. As value of voltage level increases, 1 day compressive strength increases as well. This can be explained through relations between value of voltage level and hydration reactions, since increase in value of voltage level accelerates hydration reactions. So likewise, this is so many explanations are there. We can go through this, and microstructure investigation of concrete will take this into. You can see this micro structure of concrete, and we may say that it happens likewise, and this is it happened during hydration of soil. We'll read it, means it's an important one. We cannot just leave it like that. So the increasing doses, and likewise I can save this file. It's very important one, I should say. Let me save this file so we can discuss next time also. It's important ones, cement related to temperatures. We can say here, effect of electrical value. So this is curing concrete. We can say concrete, and here is this effect of temperature. I can say it is here, and so that we can take it later on. This is important, though it's not everything is not correct, but it's better to have some knowledge sometimes, and we'll discuss this long file. And let me close it, and I'll see some of the file is available there. Let me see if I can find some of the file here, and we may say so. I'll be back after some time. We can learn curing concrete, learn different types of curing methods of concrete construction, and different types of construction versus that, and it's of course different types. Maybe if I find some thermal curing in this, and of course different types of curing methods of concrete construction, different types, and that are purpose of curing, factors, curing method, water adhesion, water retention, temperature control method. Yes, temperature control method, considering selecting a new concrete method, water adhesion method, spraying, ponding of water, wet curing, immersion, water retention method, curing compounds, and temperature control methods in curing is also good. If you get this, let's say if I can, we'll do this also. I print it, and I can say you can see it a glimpse. It's later is an important point here, and see how can we can this. It's something sometimes excellent. You can say having augmenting knowledge in construction is very important from research viewpoint, and from quality improvement we find, which we are trying to get it, and that's what I'm trying to have this here. So also we can say here, can I save it? That's my point of view. Let me save it like this, save as, and also say it here is facilities on stores, and that's what you can say. Different types of curing methods, and you can see concrete here again. I say concrete, and I can save this file, so you can see this file in this regard, and I close this now. You can say, so let me close this, and you can see this file. It's available here, and it's a matter, it's a question of time that we are spending on this, and this is file here. I can just blow it up so that you can see this different type of curing methods in concrete construction, and purpose of curing, and various factors are there. Curing methods, water retention, water relation to the temperature control methods, and ponding, covering, all this is there. So we will go through this also next time. So I'll placing it back to correspond to placing. Now that will give me some time. I think you can read it meanwhile. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Let us see if I come back and successfully do it and close it, right? So, sorry gentlemen, I think we have nearly concluded this session, and I was concentrating on curing, and it's very, very important. And I was talking on electric curing, and that is in fact very responsible one. Electrical curing, we'll discuss with this. And I said it's a system in which favorable temperature is maintained, in freshly placed concrete by supplying heat generated by electrical resistance. And we will go further on this meanwhile. Because we are talking of varying quality system, which is quality I taught of, and that we have to, this is what I say, communication, coordination, you have to communicate yourself with for information. That's where it is, and I can start. I have to close this for the timing now. I think we have gone away where it's required professionally, it's required. Of course, we are engineers, and of course, we are people, and we have to understand these facts. Learning has no limit, and engineering means learning. Engineering cannot be defined as no learning, and without continuation of learning, engineering cannot be developed. Though people say it is site work, it is concrete work, it's curing work, it's very simple, it's conventional. Everybody says that. And some think that this is not very important. But I have stress to say, if your construction is not excellent, if your construction is not qualitatively inclined, all your designs, work done on designs, excellence done on designs, highest degree of level concentration applied on designs, then all go in vain if it only indicates that you have done something academically for academical interest and not for work interest. And that's where I say my difference lies in. And that's very important. With this take note, I say thank you very much for today's talk. If everything is smooth, weather remains good, and I understand more and more, I like to share more and more with you people, and that's okay. Fine. Thank you very much, gentlemen.